Welcome back to the Button Tree Book Club. This week we are discussing Prophecy of the Sisters by Michelle Zink. I found this book to be okay, average. It was intriguing, it was interesting. It definitely had good writing, good plot, interesting characters. But I guess it's one of those books where it's like, it's not bad. It just wasn't my favorite. Kind of like Wicked Lovely from I don't know how many weeks back. Like, it seemed intriguing, it seemed interesting, but it didn't get me enough to keep me reading. Like, I stopped after book 1. And I don't know if I'm going to finish this one. Like, this one seemed intriguing, and it seems like there could be a lot of good stuff to come. I just haven't decided. If you read this, or if you've read, like, the next books and you thought, like, it gets better, tell me. Because I haven't decided yet whether or not I want to finish the series or not. If I do finish the series, I won't continue it for a couple weeks while I'm still finishing up Lux, which is coming up this week. We are finishing Lux this week, and then we're going to go back into Nevermore. We're going to keep going with those. Finishing Lux, going back to Nevermore. There's 2 more books for that one. But I haven't decided if we're going to continue this one after those have ended. The main characters are Alice and Leah. They are twin sisters. The story starts the day of their father's funeral, leaving these 2 girls orphans, and they have a little brother, Henry, who is like 10 years old, I think. Because their mother died years and years ago, like, when Henry was like a baby. And now their father is dead, but they live with, I want to say their grandmother. Yes, they live with their grandmother. No, they live with their aunt. Their mother's sister, which is important. You can kind of already wonder why. Because sisters and sisters. So the idea is Prophecy of the Sisters. It's all about twin sisters. And how, I'm just going to read the back of this. It tells you a lot. An ancient prophecy divides 2 sisters, one good, one evil. Who will prevail? Twin sisters Leah and Alice have just become orphans. They have also become enemies as they discover their roles in a prophecy that has turned generations of sisters against each other. They find themselves entangled in a mystery that involves a tattoo-like mark, their parents' deaths, a boy, a book, and a lifetime of secrets. What's really funny is I read this and I go, that wasn't really in there. There is a tattoo. That's a big thing. One of the sisters, Leah, has this tattoo. Their parents' deaths, yeah, kind of. A boy. I'm not sure what they're referring to when they talk about the boy. I guess there are some boys in this book. Like, there's the brother, there's the father, there's the romantic interest of one of them. A book. Yeah, there's a book. And a lifetime of series. Like, I don't know. The description of this feels very deceptive because I didn't get that from this book. Like, most of it is the girls have no idea what's going on. Like, girls they've become enemies. Have they? I didn't get that vibe from the sisters until much later on in the book. Like, because they make this sound like they hate each other from the beginning. Now, granted, do the sisters get along? Not really, but they don't come across to me as enemies. They just come across to me as indifferent to each other. I think the one thing that got to me about this book a lot was, so there are mysteries to this book. There are puzzle pieces that they're both finding and discovering. It took them too long to put them together, though. I get that they're teenagers, and teenagers are not always smart. Sorry. Teenagers are not always smart. I wasn't a smart teenager. Like, teenagers always have this idea that they think they can figure everything out, and they typically don't. But I figured out where these puzzle pieces were leading, like, chapters and chapters before they did, and that kind of frustrated me. Because the idea is that it's not just about the sisters. There's other girls that are involved in this, too, and there's, like, this big prophecy, this big whole thing going on. How one of them is a guardian, one of them is a gate. And how one of them is good, one of them is evil, and how you think you know who it's gonna be, and then it's not, but maybe it is, but you don't know. Like, you get this sense that one role is supposed to be good, one role is supposed to be evil, but is that true? Is it true? That is what is uncertain. And even by the end of the book, you're not sure. Like, yes, the girls figure out who is who, and there's this idea of who is supposed to be good, who is supposed to be evil. But is that actually true in this case? Or are these sisters going to make it different? there was a lot of pieces in this book. And I think you kind of have to. You have to set up the world, the mystery, the characters, who's with who knows what. And I think that's important. But I wanted there to be more plot. I wanted there to be a lot more happening. Other than just, they went here, they went there, they met this person, they met that person. Because that's interesting. But it wasn't until the end when there started to be some drama and real, like, okay, here's what's happening. Here's the whole world. Here's the big scope of things. It took them a long time to put pieces together. And I think that it wasn't necessarily unbelievable, but it wasn't necessarily believable either. I feel like they could have definitely pieced some stuff together much faster than they did. So there's these two friends that Leah makes, and they're trying to figure out how they fit into this puzzle of things. I figured it out really fast, and I'm pretty sure anyone that reads it can probably figure it out pretty darn fast if you're reading carefully and, like, you pay attention to just generally what you're reading. But it took them forever, and I was like, this should not take this long to figure out. But it did. And I think if they had figured out chapters before, then so much more could have started falling into place faster than it did. Again, I didn't hate this book, but I didn't love it. Like, it's not going on my top 10 list of favorite things I've ever read, but it's also not in my top 10 least favorite things I've ever read either. It's just kind of meh. I have not decided if I want to keep reading this. The ending made me more intrigued to go on because I got to about, 50-60% of the way through, and I was like, I don't know if I even want to finish this book. And then it picked up. It did pick up. It does drag here and there because it takes them so long to figure things out, and that is a downside. But then it picks up, and it's good. It's dramatic. It's intense. And man, the ending of this book. I don't want to spoil it. I kind of want to, but I don't want to. Okay, I'm going to spoil it. So at the very end, I told you they have a little brother. Little brother dies. It's horrible. And the worst part about it is, like, I'm not going to say how, but little brother dies, and you're just like, the person, like, the people involved are like, it's not my fault. I'm like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's completely your fault. You don't get to say it's not your fault. It's completely your fault. So that was like, it was such a dramatic ending. Like, oh my gosh. Like, they've already lost their parents. Now they've lost their little brother. It's literally just the two of them and the aunt that they live with. Like, it's intense. It's a lot. But up to that point, I was just kind of meh towards the whole story. And now the story is ending, and by the end, the sisters really do come across as enemies because they have two very different ideas of what they're gonna do in, like, going forward, what they're gonna do. All right, but that's all I have to say on this one. I haven't decided whether or not I'm gonna keep going. Sorry that I spoiled the ending. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for spoiling things anymore. It's more fun to talk about them if you can spoil them, just because, like, otherwise, what's the point of talking about the books? I mean, this whole story is two sisters figuring out who they are in this. It is a fantasy world, kind of, sort of. Yeah, fantasy. There's a fantasy, like, dream world. Yeah, once again, dream world. But yeah, it's okay. Like, it's historical fantasy fiction, I guess you could classify it, and it's young adult. I didn't get much of a romance vibe. I mean, there is a romance in it, but I didn't get the romance vibe because romance was such a teeny part of this one. But apparently it might get more. I could not figure it out. But that's Prophecy of the Sisters. Tell me below if you think I should keep reading or not. I have not decided. But for now, I'm going to talk about what we're reading next week. Now, this is the funny thing. So, this is actually not my first time recording this video. Believe it or not. This is probably my third time. The first time I made this video, the audio got messed up. I don't know what happened to the audio. We went into edit, and there was no audio. Like, none. Like, we couldn't figure out what happened, because the mic was fine, everything was fine, it was recording fine. We go back, and the audio's just gone. And we kept trying to find a way to fix it. We couldn't, so we were like, okay, we'll record it again. Get to round two. And the camera was glitching that time. The camera, just was like, it was super dark in the background, like it wasn't visible, and I kept starting recording, and then it didn't look good. It looked terrible. And I was like, okay, we can't use that either. So now, here we are. We have audio, we have video, but I will say this, I already drew the book for next week, in the original video, and I've already started reading it, and I can't find the card. So I'm just gonna tell you, next week we are reading A Twisted Tale, Conceal Don't Feel by Jen Kalanita. I've actually already finished reading it at this point because, again, it just all got weird. Because by the time I realized that the first video wasn't going to work, I'd already started reading this. I was almost done with it. This was a really good book. I'm really excited to talk about this book next week. I will say this, though. I made this video a while ago, so, like, that video's gonna look a little out of sync because the video was made before, like, our schedule changed. Like, Prophecy of Sisters was supposed to come out, like, a week ago, and now we're behind, like, there's a whole series of things. So this one might look a little out of sync, this one and some others down the line, just because that's just what happens. But this week, before Conceal Don't Feel on next Saturday, Wednesday, we are finishing up Lux. Yes, Lux 5 is going up. We're ending Lux. It's a very bittersweet thing. But I'm going to be talking about the series as a whole, book 5, characters, everything. And then I will also be continuing Nevermore this week, going into book 2 in Shadowed, which, not done with that one. That one will take another 2 weeks. It'll be Thursday this week, Wednesday next week. And then if I decide to keep going with Prophecy of the Sisters, I'll be doing book 2 on Thursday next week after Conceal Don't Feel. So yeah, that's the book club schedule for now. I know I keep saying, like, we're gonna have other stuff coming out. I have no idea. Like, we have so many projects that we're working on, and then it takes a long time. Like, if you make videos like this, you understand. It takes a while to get these videos done, edited, yeah. So we're working on things. We are. And hopefully things are coming soon. But for now, if you like our book club, you should subscribe, you should like our videos, you should come back and watch more of them, because we do this every week. Book club. Alright, see you in the next video. Bye!